Willkommen zur nächsten Folge vom Hashtag QBWatch Podcast. Und ihr seht schon, ich habe den ersten Gast aus der GFL dabei. Habe ja angekündigt, dass ich eine Serie zu den Quarterbacks aus der GFL auch mache, die so ein bisschen vorstellen möchte, später auch vielleicht ein bisschen ins Game Tape eintauche. Und ja, heute hier, welcome to my podcast, Cole Stenstrom, starting QB for the Düsseldorf Panther. And really appreciate you being here and taking out the time.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
So, I mean, like, it's your first year in Germany, right? Just kind of like one thing I think that interests maybe others than just the Panther fans, which they hopefully know by now, is like, tell us a little bit about your background, right? Where did you go to college? What was your experience playing college football? And then maybe now, like, how did you get to be in the GFL?
Yeah. So my college journey. So I played at two different universities. Out of high school, I played at the University of South Dakota, which is an FCS, a Division I program. Was there for 3 years. Really loved it. I was more in like a backup role where I played in certain packages, ran the ball a couple of times, ran a couple of trick plays, yada yada, and then I just decided like, hey, this is best for me to like, whether it's Division I, Division II, right? Go to a program where I can start for 2 years and then see where football takes me. And so that's what I did. I transferred to Division II, Winona State University, which is in Minnesota. It's in Minnesota where I'm from. About 2 hours away from home. It was nice. It was easy for my family to travel and see. But really fell in love with the university and the coaching staff there. Was there for 2 years, 2 year starter and the captain. Loved it there, loved the guys, still stay in touch with a lot of guys. And then after college, or basically like at the end of my second year, so my last year, which was last fall, I kind of knew about it through some friends and some like former coaches about playing overseas, whether it's in Europe, Mexico. There's a bunch of leagues and opportunities to play, and so basically got connected with a bunch of guys, asked questions, and then from there got connected with Dusseldorf, and then it was kind of there. I got the opportunity from Coach JC, and then took it and ran with it.
That's nice. You spoke a little bit about choosing, right, the transfer option, right, in order to get some playing time in the store. And probably, correct me if I'm wrong, I read a little bit that in South Dakota, they also were thinking about moving you to running back maybe, right? So was this also a decision to actually stay in the quarterback position rather than make a transfer into a different position?
Yeah. So at South Dakota, they kind of they wanted to use me as like a Taysom Hill. So I play a bunch of different positions, still was with the quarterbacks. And so, yeah, kind of just wanted a more solidified role. I got playing time, but just wanted to be more defined role. And I worked to become a quarterback. So, yeah, just wanted to, let the, you know, have the fruits of my labor pay off at the quarterback position, essentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you don't have to convince me, man. I'm all
Yeah.
for it, right? That was my position, so I'm all in if you want to play QB. Like QB is such a special position on the field, right? And I always talk about maybe the philosophy of quarterbacks or what's like the core skill set, not necessarily just physical skills, but like what do you need in order to be a quarterback? Or maybe to phrase the question a little bit differently towards you is like what makes that position so special to you that you want to be a quarterback on the field and maybe not like a running back or a receiver or something else?
Yeah, I think quarterback's so unique in that it's more of a lifestyle. I truly do believe that, like, as a quarterback, everybody looks to you, whether it's good or bad, right? You get all the blame. If you lose, you get all the credit if you win, even though either one of those options, like, it's not realistic, right? There's 10 other guys on the field, right? It's an 11-man game on each side of the ball. So, but I think characteristic wise, I think it really I think a main characteristic that not a lot of people talk about is you have to be able to relate to people. When it comes to leadership, being able to connect with guys, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but as we as I transitioned into playing over here with the language barrier, guys from all over, they have different lives outside of football, right? Um, I think you need to be able to relate to people and connect with people. And if you're not a people person and you can't communicate, it's really hard to lead people. So I think from a communication standpoint, that's huge. And then obviously, you gotta be the hardest worker in the room. You gotta, be consistent. You got to be able to lead by example, stuff like that. And everybody talks about that. But I think from a communication standpoint, being able to get everybody on the same page and communicate well and effectively is a trait left out a lot of the times.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on yourself with saying, right, it's a way of life. It's not just a position. I generally feel that the game of football is a way of life as well, right? It teaches so many values and skills and everything. But specifically for the QB position, I fully agree. And it speaks for yourself, right, to recognize that and to work on that. So maybe as a last question towards your college football career before we kind of dive into the GFL lifestyle, or let's say football, like what's your most memorable biggest memories or memorable moments from playing college ball that you
Yeah,
remember?
I mean, like the most memorable times are the times in the locker room or the times on the bus traveling. Like everybody remembers those. On the field, I remember last year we had a rough stretch as a team. We came together and we had a couple of injuries. We were banged up, and we played the number 9 team in the country, and ended up beating them. And then I ran one in with like a minute left of the game to win the game, and we came back. And so that was a memorable time just from adversity and like facing adversity as a team, and then coming together and to win with guys hurt and stuff like that. So that was a big win for us last year. That was really, really exciting as a team.
I hear you for sure, man. Especially in your last year as well, right?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
always special for sure. So, like you spoke a little bit about how you've heard or how you found out about these other leagues, right? Globally, not just Germany. That's a fair point, right? There's
Yeah.
Brazil, there's Mexico, there's Germany, there's other European countries that have these semi-professional leagues, if I can call them that, right? I mean, some players or they're professionally especially the import players, but others like solely play for the heart, for the fun, for the love of the game. Like,
hmm
what was your first impression when you heard about the GFL, and how did you get in touch with, Coach Creek, and like how did this whole thing evolve that you
hmm
signed with the Düsseldorf Panther?
Yeah. Well, it kind of involved by or how I heard about it was basically contacted him through the database, like Euro players and stuff like that, and really got connected from there. And then we went through, you know, um, an interview process, and then after the interview process, obviously, Coach JC and Coach Allen, our OC, decided to move forward, and I really liked our conversations where it was going, and I really thought that I could help the team, move up from GFL one, from 2 to 1, because I think that was a big thing. Like the past Dusseldorf Panther, we used to be bouncing back and forth, right? But now, like to be able to establish something, or like, hey, we're here to stay. That was a big emphasis this year, and so yeah, I think from that part of the question, it's very, very rewarding to see like, hey, we're not where we want to be, but like, hey, we're taking steps in the right direction. So
Yeah, and I mean, we'll touch on a little later, right? But
hmm
you've turned some heads, right? You've surprised some people with the way you've been playing
hmm
so far, which is awesome to see. And again, it speaks for yourself. But like when, like then before coming over here, what expectations did you have, and maybe were how actually did it end up? Where was it a lot
yeah.
different than you expected, or was it kind of like
hmm
actually the way you expected the whole, let's say, experience to be?
Yeah, I kind of knew Coach JC and Coach Allen painted a good picture for me through the interview process. So I kind of understood, and talking to other guys like what it would be like, and I was super optimistic and like super grateful for the opportunity. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to keep playing at a high level. And like what you said, like, I'm here as one of the imports, as one of the pro players, where it's like, hey, everybody looks to us. And so looking at that as a challenge and being like, hey, we got to be the most consistent ones on the field. That's what I was looking forward to. And then from like the transition from in the U.S. to Germany. I mean, at the end of the day, football's football. So like, it might look a little different around. It might look different. Like you don't got the big stadiums and stuff like that. I mean, unless you're like Dresden or New Yorker, right? But like you don't have the big stadiums, and it might look a little different in the locker rooms and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, when when the whistle blows and you're you're in between the lines, it's football. And so I think I took that perspective into the when I came over here. I was like, look, at the end of the day, it's gonna look different. Like it's a new country, but I kind of like went into it with open arms and like accepted it and was like, hey, you know, I want to be successful on the field. It doesn't matter what it looks like outside, and and to that point, I feel like that's what's helped me with the transition.
Yeah, it speaks for yourself to take that approach, right? To not have a preset or let's say a predefined mindset, right? Going into here and everything. And it's easier said than done to not have expectations. But it's great here. Still, like, what would you consider the biggest difference when you compare GFL football to, let's say, college football in the States?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest difference, and especially where I've been, right? Like my perspective is a little different than everybody else's, or some of the other imports that have been here for a while, or have done, GFL or international leagues. But for me, it's like everybody comes from, they're just their living situations, their circumstances are so much different. Like you got guys that are married, have two kids, to like me, like I'm just coming out of uni, and so it's very different, and you got everybody in between, and so like I touched on before, like being able to relate to people and communicate and really understand where everybody's coming from. I think that's the biggest thing towards success and playing towards one goal, because otherwise it's like if you think everybody else is like you, it's just not that's just not how it works over here. And so I have found it more interesting and like kind of like intriguing to see like, hey, why do some of the guys like really love playing football, and it really has given me a new perspective on like the joy of playing again, besides like at uni, and sometimes like football can get really businesslike, and now it's like, what, like a lot of these guys are doing it for fun, and it gives me a new perspective, and it's kind of a fresh reset for me.
Yeah, it's great that you addressed that. It gives me goosebumps,
Mhm.
right? Because it
Yes.
is so different culturally as well, right? Like you
Hmm.
said, and great to see that you adapt that way to the game. But like when you look at like how did you have to maybe change your weekly routine or preparation from college to Germany, or what does that look like over here? Like how do you get ready for a game on the weekend when the week just
Hmm.
starts? Like maybe run us through your basic week here in the
Yeah.
GFL.
Yeah. I would say it, I had a lot. I grew up very like structured, and my parents did a great job at raising me to be very disciplined. And then that transitioned into good coaching in college and so forth. And so I kind of carried the same routine that I had in college. I was very fortunate with that, just based on coaches and their experience and stuff. And then in kind of the weight room developed over time, like what works for me. And so basically, to go through my schedule weekly. So let's say we have a game on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. On Monday, we obviously start breaking down tape, and then um, basically like look at games as a whole. So we'll pick a handful of games that we watch of the opponent, and then on Tuesday usually break down situational stuff on tape. So it'd be like third down, 2 minute drill, what they change in 2 minute, red zone, and then based on like, and then Wednesday I do like blitzes, box structure. Like, hey, how do we, figure out certain protection or unique blitzes, and then from there, kind of touch up situational stuff. different plays we like, new plays we like, and look over that Thursday, Friday, and then Friday is kind of like a fast Friday or a cleanup where we just tune everything up and we're good. And then from a training standpoint on off days during the week, try to throw with a lot of the imports and um, any of our German teammates that uh, can throw with us. And so usually I schedule that, and then training wise, usually try to lift 3 or 4 times a week, progressively getting less and less weight throughout the week, so I keep my body fresh and then maintain speed about 3 or 4 times a week as well. So busy, but no, I think the routine thing's very big because I think and I've been fortunate with a lot of the imports on our team, a lot of the older guys. They've taught me kind of like and given me a good example, like, hey, you're gonna have some more free time. Like, it's different than university, and so being able to structure my day out, it makes me like in a routine and very disciplined, and it's helped me lead to like staying fresh, ready, and most definitely prepared throughout each
Yeah.
week.
And you're
Mhm.
practicing what, 2 or 3 times a week? How often do you are you actually on
Yeah,
the field with the
as
whole
a
team?
as a team, we practice 3 times a week, and then we'll do like Coach Allen and I have a bunch of meetings, and we go through game plan stuff. Help with you know new plays that we want to add in and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
a lot of like Zooms and stuff like that. But it's really good because what I've learned from it this year is I really enjoy the game planning scenario or the situations of game planning, creating new plays, like, hey, what works, what doesn't, and then like seeing it happen in games is like super rewarding. And so I eventually do want to go into coaching after I decide to hang it up, which hopefully not for a while, but I definitely like the coaching aspect as well.
And you touched on it, right. So you already touched like how you break down the film, right? Situational
Mm-hmm.
tape consideration and things like this. Like looking at that, I'm understanding probably even in college, like as a quarterback, you're kind of like doing that with your coaches together. But
Mm-hmm.
how would you compare maybe the coaching from the West Side over to the GFL? Were you surprised? Were you disappointed in like how the level of coaching is over here?
No, I think from like a scheme standpoint and stuff like that, we've done an awesome job. Coach JC and Coach Allen, we've done great jobs of like just understanding, um, you know, scheme coverage, stuff like that, situational awareness, and I think we do cover all those basics. The only difference is like maybe like mechanically and stuff like that, but. Uh, you could probably see like on my social media, I do a lot of QB coaching, quarterback coaching at home, and then over here as well. And so I think from that standpoint, it didn't bother me. I can I can kind of look and tune up my mechanics by myself. But from a scheme standpoint, I haven't seen any drop off. I think more than anything, I've learned like the GFL, and a lot of it is just taking advantage of matchups. Like when you have a good matchup, take it and like just trust it and trust your gut on that, and like because it can make explosive plays at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to me. I always say you have to trust your gut anyway, right? As a QB,
Mm-hmm.
if you make a
Mm-hmm.
decision, you got to follow through. You can't hesitate.
Yeah.
If you hesitate, that's a mistake
Yeah.
already, right? But
Mm-hmm.
interesting to hear, like you talking also about like the mechanicals. I feel that like Germany, we unfortunately don't have enough quarterback coaches that can truly develop a quarterback from like the
Mm-hmm.
fundamental, the mechanical standpoint. Um, if you look at yourself, like what
Yeah.
is areas that you feel you're still working or still need to work on improving from a mechanical or maybe from a reading standpoint, understanding
Mm-hmm.
defensive standpoint?
Yeah. From a mechanical standpoint, I think I've dove a lot into it. I work with QB Motion, and I don't know if you've seen them, but I work with them a lot, and then I do a lot of QB coaching with them. And so I think the biggest thing mechanically, you can always clean up, like use hips more into the throw by creating disassociation. So basically, letting your hips go first and keeping your upper body into the throw as long as possible to create like torque. And so I can always do that. And then obviously, like, I think a big thing that especially I tell a lot of kids when I coach too is like smooth is fast. So like it doesn't matter like how quick your steps are. It's like, is it smooth? Is it efficient? And so obviously, like, eliminating the extra steps and stuff like that in the pocket where I can get the ball out that much quicker. I think you can always work on timing and rhythm. I think that's the biggest thing. From the standpoint of just like mentally or like on the field, I think a big thing that I learned and like a big thing that has helped me and what I've realized is you don't have to be Superman every play. Like I came in here sometimes where it was like, hey, I got to make every play. And it's like sometimes the best play is just a check down, right? Where you can create a explosive, throwing a flat route or throwing a swing route. And so kind of taking a step back and being like, hey, I'm just going to take what the defense gives me. And then the explosives are going to take care of themselves. And so just realizing that and just playing the game for what it is and keeping the offense in positive situations, right? You got third and shorts, you got second and mediums, stuff like that, where we can use the pass game and the run game. And then defense, we keep the defense guessing. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've realized. And I think I've taken a lot of strides towards that throughout the year, but obviously, continue to improve.
Yeah, you're never finished developing, right? I
Nope,
think that's the
nope.
main thing for sure. Now, if you could if you could name one strength, let's say this is my biggest strength as a quarterback, what would that be?
I think my biggest strength is having to be timing and rhythm. I take a lot of pride on that. So like when it comes to like a seam or a glance and throwing it like a three with no hitch, I think I'm very like when I put my foot down and the ball's out, like I feel like I'm very in rhythm and timing. I can anticipate throws very well. So I think that's a big strength of mine.
And that's a good strength to have, right? That anticipation and, like you said, keeping that timing and not being late, right? Putting the ball where it needs to be, the receiver can go and get it rather than always make it a contested catch or something. I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And actually, like, I'm also, looking at maybe starting like a series where I dive into a little bit of the game tape of you and the
Yeah,
other GFL quarterbacks to kind of
would love to do that.
analyze that. So we'll see. I'm still waiting on some feedback
Yeah.
from some teams, but so far it looks good. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's look at the season a little bit, right? Maybe reflect a little bit on the first half of the season. We just had the break. You're still off this weekend. We just spoke a little bit about it before the podcast. So, what went well? What didn't go so well? Or let's say what went as expected and what didn't from that first half? You obviously surprised some people, right? I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that, but from your perspective, maybe from the team's perspective, where do you stand in connection to the what you expected to have happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, as competitors and as a team, we fully expect to win every single game. Stepping into the in between the lines, I think if you don't have that mentality, you might as well not play. I truly believe that, especially as a violent sport as football is. If you're scared of the opponent, then it's not going to turn out well. So, Coach JC, helped establish a great a great environment for us. So we every team we play, we believe we're going to win. From the beginning of the season, I think that we definitely took strides as a team and kind of have found our rhythm and are starting to. It's obviously not perfect, but we're getting there. And I think we definitely surprised some teams, like you said. But at the end of the day, I think what you can see is that we are very competitive and we belong in this league. Um, and I think the biggest thing that we learned is like, hey, if we create positive situations on offense and don't turn the ball over, create like I said, if we get past the 50, create good field position, obviously take points or take advantage of points like off of defensive turnovers, stuff like that. I think we're going to be really hard to defend and beat. Um, but yeah, I think there was positive strides, and like as you can see, the first couple games, obviously there was some ups and downs and stuff like that, but I think we're in a good headspace right now going into the break, or going after the break and heading into the second half of the season. Very excited to see how we respond and finish strong throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean you had a strong finish right before the break with the two wins against Pforzheim and Hildesheim, and next week you're starting back up against Hildesheim, which will be interesting to see. New coaching staff, new players, probably a little bit of a different system, at least on offense. But like when I look at the remainder of the season, the schedule, to me, maybe besides Dresden, who I consider like the strongest team currently in the GFL, or let's say the most like constant team, right? They just don't flinch at all.
They're
I think
very
everybody's
consistent.
beatable, right? So at least from my perspective, from you, like you finished strong, so it's going to be interesting to see. Like if you would name the maybe two things that you feel as a team, that's what you need to get better at, and to actually continue that streak that you've started, right? What would those two things be? Offense,
Yeah,
defense, special teams, whichever.
for sure, for sure. I think so. Two things is field position, and I think that comes with special teams. That comes with offense. You know, creating positive situations, getting first downs, eliminating 3-and-outs, stuff like that. Like getting past the 50-yard line, creating good field position situations for our offense and our defense as well. And then number two would definitely be like, as an offense, we have to score more points. I think we have the weapons, and we just need to put it together. I think there's a lot of situations where we're plus 50 and we just don't come away with points. And I think if we do that and take care of business, we can win a lot of football games, like you said. I think that's the biggest thing, and we're on the right track. It's just finishing in the red zone when we get past the 30. When we're in plus 30 situations, we need to put points on the board, preferably 7. So I think that's the biggest thing and our biggest emphasis going in the second half.
Yeah, and like if you look at your personal performance, right? I think the Pforzheim game is probably by far the strongest game that you've had. If you look at like the stats, at least anyway, right? Not the stats don't tell the whole story
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But like, how satisfied are you with your personal performance so far, right? Like,
Yep.
if you look at it, you say, okay, this is better, or this didn't go as expected. Where do you feel you need to step up? Not necessarily like we spoke about like individual development of mechanics or anything, in the
Yeah.
overall picture of the games that you've played.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing for me, looking at the first game and now going into the second half of the season, I've definitely improved on, creating positive situations, eliminating turnovers, and really putting the offense in good positions. I think, like I touched on earlier, is just a mentality switch of like, hey, I don't need to be Superman. I don't need to, you know, every deep ball. I don't need to, if it's not there, let's just check it down. We have great skill positions. Let's just check it down and let them, run with the ball, get 5, 6, and create a third and short, stuff like that. So I think that mentality switch, and we had plenty of conversations, us and the coaching staff, about, just a mentality switch, because it's like we had a bunch of explosives, but then it's like, hey, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, right, with turnovers and stuff like that, 3-and-outs. And so I think eliminating turnovers is the biggest key, but I feel great with where we're at and where I'm at personally with that. And then, honestly, just a biggest thing that I've seen is just a much better like completion percentage. And I think that comes with the mentality, like you talked about, is just hitting the checkdowns, taking the easy stuff, right? Trusting my gut every single time. It's like, hey, if I see something, all right, I'm gonna check out of the play into an even better play. And so just stuff like that, and growth as like, you know, transitioning from the US to over here, like just learning about the GFL, how the game works. And so, as I get every game, I get more and more confident, and I know, like I said before, we can compete, and we can win every game that we step on the field with.
Yeah, I hear you. So like what, like looking forward now, right? We talked about second half of the season. What's your goal from, I understand you play to win every game, right? Which means you're
Yep.
always aiming to win at the end of the end of the year, the championship. But like looking at where you are right now, what's your personal, maybe what's your team goal towards the last week of the season?
Yeah, I think our team goal obviously is to be 1-0 each week, but to make playoffs. I mean that's ultimately the goal, because once you get in the dance, it's fair game for everybody. So I think that's the number one goal on our minds, and I think how we ended the first half, I think we set ourselves up in a good position. So now we just got to take care of business and win next week, and then the week after, and then so forth. Personally, I think I like winning. Winning is the biggest thing for me. I really don't care how it looks, but obviously, you would love to throw 304 touchdowns, right? Everybody would. But I think the biggest stat for me that I really care about is, am I putting the team in positive situations, right? Eliminating turnovers, and that comes with positive situations. And then obviously having a great completion percentage. I think that's the biggest stat that helps me, and everything else takes care of itself. I'm not a big guy into like, hey, I'm gonna dwell on these stats, because at the end of the day, the only stat that matters is if you're one in the win column. So
Yeah, I heard you. But the humbleness speaks for you, right? I mean, that's something
yeah.
that you have all these different kind of quarterbacks. Some are more humble, some less. Some are very confident, right? Almost to the point of being cocky. But it's good to have all these individual characters. But I always felt that humbleness type of QB is in the long run going to take your team further, right? Because you talked about the leadership skills, being able to interact with every individual and understand them, right? And help them to become the best that they can be on the field, for sure. Like, if you look ahead 2-3 years, where does your future take you? Do you see yourself playing in Europe for much longer, or what? Like, where do you
Yeah.
want to head towards within the next, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is take 1 year at a time. But ultimately, I would love to still be playing over here and in football as long as possible. And I touched on it earlier. Um, Once I'm done, or when I decide, and hopefully, just stay healthy, and I can go out on my own terms, and then I'll go into coaching. Um, you know, Whenever that time is. I'm not going to put a time frame on it, but in 2 or 3 years, I would love to still be playing over here. So that's kind of the goal, and I would love to win a championship. That's the ultimate goal.
It's always
Before I,
awesome.
yeah, before I head out or hang up the pads. So.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
like you just spoke a little bit like coaching and everything. Where do you
Mhm.
self coaching, right? Do you see yourself? I mean, obviously, the goal is always, to be able to make money and making a living off
Mhm.
of coaching, right? As a
Mhm.
former player that looks into coaching, but like,
Mhm.
if you see yourself in the near future, do you see yourself high school? Do you want to dive directly into college ball? Like, where do you see yourself putting down your feet to start your foundation of coaching?
Yeah. Well, I think the foundation of coaching, I've already started working at QB Motion Midwest back home with Tanner Morgan. He used to be a quarterback for the University of Minnesota, so him and I have been helped growing that thing, and I've been doing a lot of it over here as well. So the foundation has already started, but I would love to become a offensive coordinator at the Division I level, and that's the ultimate goal. I would love to still scratch that itch when it comes to playing and being that's the closest thing to playing but not playing.
Pulling the
And
plays.
so and so I think that's where I see myself. But it's I'm big in the face, so whatever God's plan has for me, I'm with it. But I think it just take 1 year at a time, and see where life takes me. But I definitely love coaching right now, and where I'm at with quarterback training and doing private and group sessions. It's been really fun to help connect guys and really help teach them a higher level of quarterback play style and training over here as well. It's been very, very, very cool to see that.
Oh, that's awesome. So,
Hmm.
talking about coaching, I've got a situation for you. First,
Hmm.
let's say first quarter of a game, right? It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Games, by far not being decided yet.
Yeah.
1st and 10, your offense is on the field. You're on your own 2 yard line. Do you call a run or you call a deep shot?
Um,
So you're trying to get some distance to the end
I
line,
feel
right,
you.
to be
I feel you.
safe, or you're about taking
Here's
the
a
shot because the defense is
yeah,
aggressive.
yeah, no, I like it. A big thing that we did in college, and sometimes we do here as well, is we RPO. And
Mhm.
so like if you like your, all right, so we RPO like a vertical or something like that, and it's like we put the RPO tag on our best receiver, and it's like if they play cover one or zero or man, right? All right, I'm gonna take it, right? So now you have the best of both worlds. If it's not there, run, live to play another down. Otherwise, you can take the shot, complete it or get a penalty, get in a
Yeah.
better situation. So
No, I hear you talk about
uh-huh.
taking those mismatches that they give you, right? So
Uh-huh.
it definitely makes sense. Now,
Yep.
if you could say something to maybe other American QBs or players who are
Uh-huh.
listening in to this podcast at some point, and they're thinking about playing ball in Europe, what would you tell them? What would be your
Yeah,
recommendation for them?
I would say, well, number one, I think anywhere you go, it's a big move, right? Like you're away from your family. You got to create a whole nother, you know, whole new relationships over here. You got your own family over here with the team. But I think the biggest thing is be you. As quarterback, the team kind of follows you and goes by kind of how you lead and stuff like that. And I think the biggest thing is if you try to fake who you are and be somebody you're not, it's not going to work. So I think the biggest thing is just be you, be comfortable in your own skin, and really just at the end of the day, when it comes in between the lines, like, hey, be you, ball out, and communicate with the coaches. Like, be an advocate for yourself. Don't just be like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever coach tells me. Like, have honest conversations. Everybody, the grown men out here in the GFL, so you can have conversations. What works well, what doesn't, and I think the biggest thing is just, like I said, be yourself, and kind of mold the offense into what you like as well.
Yeah, cool. So you would, if I take it right, you would recommend people to really take the opportunity, play ball over here, and get that experience under their belt.
Oh,
Or
100%. I think, yeah, traveling over here, and it's just not the same, and it creates so many life lessons. You have more time on your hands, so when it comes to, being disciplined, creating your own schedule, really optimizing who you want to be as a player, you have that opportunity, and so I think it's a really cool experience, and you create relationships that last a lifetime as well.
cool, man. And then, like, is there anything you want to tell the Panther fans out there? Like, how was your experience with them? How do you experience them? Anything you want to
Mhm.
let them know that they might not know about you yet, or
Yeah,
GFL fans, maybe not just
yeah,
Panther fans?
I think the biggest thing is I just appreciate everybody for our support, and like, keep showing up. We love everybody at the games, and like cheering us on and having the noisemakers and stuff like that on third down. It's awesome. It just helps the experience. It helps us, um, and it's great. I think the more Panther fans, the better. Um,
Yeah,
and
but
just
that
keep.
noise can be crazy over here for sure.
No, I'm telling you, that is something that's much different than America. I love the little things. It makes it so much louder. So it's cool. It's a cool atmosphere over here. That's for sure. It's unique.
Sure.
Hmm.
Like, but let's step off the field, right? We talked so much
Hmm.
about football, but this is like, have you ever been to Germany before playing football here or to Europe or not yet?
No, so before I came out here, this was actually my first time in Europe. Um, like I've been in South America and stuff, but never across the pond. But I really do love it, and Dusseldorf really does feel like home. And I appreciate like everybody from the staff and everybody around the Dusseldorf area has really accepted me, and it really does feel like family. So it truly is a second home, and I love living here.
And
Hmm.
and I mean, that's perfect, right? That just speaks
Yeah.
for the organization and everything.
Hmm.
But what maybe was your biggest surprise living over here culturally, or let's say, I don't know, just daily things that you experience?
Yeah, I mean there's like little things like no AC, like the
Yeah.
windows like opening, it's like a door. or
Yeah.
like, like the train system I had to get used to. So used to just driving a car. Um, so like just different things like that. Um, are different, but I wouldn't say they're better or worse. Like I love, like, for me, like you're talking outside of football, I love hiking, being outside. Um, a big thing for me, like back home, is hunting and fishing, and so like I'm really big into nature. When we're on the bye week, I just went down to Bavaria to hike, and so like the I love being outside. So like biking and walking, like it's kind of my vibe. So when it comes to the culture of a Europe and like doing more of that stuff outside, I love it. So I think there's a lot of things that like I've taken from it and been like, oh, all right, now I can kind of add this or do this that I kind of like, that I'll carry back home. So
Yeah, but it's funny when you talk about those little things, right? I mean,
uh,
going back, shoot, I don't know, 30 years. I'm old.
mhm.
I was an exchange student in the States, right? So I
Yeah,
went to the States my first time for a
yeah,
whole year, went to school over there and everything. And you think about all these big things, right? But then these little things pop up like, that's interesting, that's different. And
yeah,
oh, I mean, this, like you said, the
yeah,
window opening up differently and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's just funny, but it kind of like, to me, it creates an open mind because you're like you stop being so prejudice is the wrong word. um yeah, so predetermined about how things should be
yeah,
globally, right? It's just like,
yeah,
hey, everything can be different everywhere, and it's just such so great to experience. So I just
yeah.
had to
It
smile
truly
when you
is.
talked about it
Yeah,
because I remembered from my days. That was
yeah.
funny. But like, you said about traveling, right? So I mean,
Mhm,
obviously Bavaria is great for hiking.
mhm,
Do you plan any other trips, maybe also outside of Germany? Because I was like, my wife's from Singapore, so we
mhm.
travel a lot to East Asia,
Yeah,
and like, it's so easy to get from Singapore to all these other countries, and I feel it's the same for people visiting Europe or Germany. It's so
mhm.
easy to get to Spain, to Italy, to
Yeah,
other countries. Do you have any trips planned in the near
yeah.
future to go see other cities or so?
Yeah, I definitely, after the season, or maybe when we have a bye at the second half of the season, I want to go down to Italy at some point. I know a couple of teammates that are Italian, so they kind of want to show me around Italy or Greece or around those areas. So I think Italy this year for sure. And then I have like some heritage from Sweden, so I want to get there at some point.
I
Obviously
love
with my
I love
last
what
name.
I love what you
Yeah,
said this year. Kind of like makes
yeah,
us think
hinting.
you're going to be back next year. I'd be happy to have you again next
Yeah.
year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things to do out here, like travel wise, that I gotta like, all right, one or two trips, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I definitely, those are the two spots, like Italy
Nice.
and Sweden. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
nice. That's very
Mhm.
nice. But of course, right? Focus is football, right? You're over here to play, but it's just great
Mhm.
how you get to experience also different cultures, right? With how close
For
they
sure.
are all together. So, what's your favorite food or drink so far in Germany?
Oh, Döner for sure. Döner is the best thing. Yeah.
Now, I
And
have to say one thing now, right? And
yeah,
Düsseldorf is a nice city,
yeah.
but if you want to have a real Döner, you have to come to Berlin. I'm just
Oh,
leave it
I
like
had
that. I
one.
know
I have one in
everybody.
Berlin.
You had
Yes.
one? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Was it
yeah,
better?
yeah, yeah.
I
It's very
see.
good.
Good. So now, okay.
It's very
I
good.
just like that's
Yeah,
Berlin pride, right? That you have the
yeah,
voice. But I love that you love Döner. I love it too.
yeah,
I mean, pretty much raised with it, right? Born and raised in
yeah.
Berlin, so that's like a big food forever over here. Um, so you talked a little bit about your schedule, right? Your routine
Hmm.
during the week and everything connected to
Hmm.
football. You said you went to Bavaria for some hiking, but what do you
Hmm.
usually also do in your free time? Let's say you're like while you're in Düsseldorf or something. What's your hobbies? What do you love spending time with when it's not about football?
Yeah. Well, I it's kind of tied into my job, but I really do love like fitness and stuff like that. So I try to do like fitness is a big thing. So I like working out, going for runs around, the area. It's a beautiful city. I do yoga a lot in the, especially before preseason, just, rehab injuries, stuff like that. And then outside of that, usually spending a lot of time with teammates. We do like day trips, and we, I mean, either like hiking or traveling different cities. Like we go to Cologne, up to Essen or Dortmund, stuff like that. Um, yeah. So usually I do some of those things. Otherwise, like I love cooking. Out here, our setup's kind of like we don't have like an oven, but we have like a stove and everything. So I'm a little limited right now, but I really do love cooking, and so I really like am into nutrition and stuff like that. So I like making my own food. So I'm not like eating out every day. I try to create good whole food meals.
Yeah,
So that's
nice.
another hobby of mine. Yeah.
It's like when you talk about you don't have an oven. It's like I wish I could show you, but I love smoking, right? So I have two
Oh
smokers down
yeah.
there, one brisket,
Hmm.
one offset smoke,
Yeah.
and like not all the time, but like a couple of times a
Hmm.
year, I've got to throw that brisket in there. I just had one on Monday,
Yeah.
huge brisket. I think it was like 20 pounds, so it was really
Yeah.
nice. So I love cooking as well, like
Yeah.
for sure. Man, that's awesome. So really, like I said, really appreciate the time that
Hmm.
you've taken out of your day and your routine and everything to
Yep.
spend time with me. Kind of introduce
Hmm.
yourself. I'm pretty sure people still have questions right at you. I'll encourage them to
Yeah.
throw them at us, maybe via social media or something.
For
Then
sure.
we can reply there. But highly appreciate. Before we jump into the rapid fire questions, I've got like a handful
Hmm.
of questions that I want to throw at you. Is there anything that you want to I don't know, add, say to the audience that you feel comes from the heart? I don't know, but anything.
No, I just say like any support for the GFL is great. Like it's an awesome league. The fans are awesome, so keep bringing support. And I think any publicity that we can get for the GFL that helps grow the league. So keep it up, and I think there's big things ahead, and really good things ahead for the league. So
No, I hear you.
yeah.
I hear you for sure. And I think you've also gained a few more fans, or at least people that
Hmm.
will watch you playing something. I really appreciate your humbleness, your openness. I think
Yeah.
you're very mature from not just from a football player standpoint, but how you approach life, how you approach all these different situations and changes in life, and that speaks for you. But
Yeah.
now let's dive into those promised quick
Yeah. Yeah. For
rapid
sure.
fire questions. So first one, beer or bratwurst?
Uh, Bratwurst.
Okay. Burger
Yeah.
or döner? I know that one.
Dinner.
Yeah, I
Dinner.
hear you. Okay. Well, even though the States, you can get some good
Yeah.
burgers, right? For sure.
For sure. For sure.
NFL team you'd love to play for?
Vikings, hometown.
I hear
Yeah.
you. Best QB
Yep.
of all time?
Tom Brady. Not yeah, Tom Brady. Not even close. You can't discredit the rings. You
No,
can't.
I agree. He's the GOAT.
Yep.
But
Hmm.
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. With the way
Yeah.
the question is phrased, I agree. I don't think you can change that.
Who do you think? Who do you
No, I
think?
mean it's like best QB of all time kind of stands for that, right? But I
Yeah.
might need to rephrase the question. It's I mean for the audience, the
Yeah.
first time I'm asking, right? You're my first guest
Yeah.
here on this series within my podcast. But I'm also thinking about maybe your favorite QB, right? Which one do you
Oh.
enjoy play or watching
Yeah.
play the most?
Oh, I don't like going for the ones that are like everybody knows. A QB I like watching personally, and I can emulate is Geno Smith. I really do like watching him and seeing his story, and like his pocket presence is great. Um, he's really like mastered his craft from like being benched at the Jets to moving up to Seattle and now in Vegas. Like I love his story. I love his mentality. And so yeah, he's honestly my favorite quarterback to watch right now.
Yeah, I think we're on the
Hmm.
same level on that one. I agree.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to
Hmm.
see what he does with the Raiders this year. It's going to
Yeah.
be awesome. I think.
Hmm.
Who do you think is the best? Who was the best rookie QB out of the last draft class? This question's not
Ooh.
in the rapid fire one, but I
Ooh.
just thought about.
I would have to say Jane Daniels. I mean, his poise, how he runs the system, like he's just
Yeah,
in
it's crazy.
command, takes advantage of his matchups all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stands out for sure. He's gonna have another good year too.
And
Yeah.
which rookie from this year's draft class are you looking forward most to see play?
Uh, man, probably Cam Ward. I mean,
Okay.
he was the number one overall, but like he's a stud. He played FCS Division one before he like transferred to
Mhm.
Miami and stuff like that. So he's an underdog, and I like his story. So
Little
yeah,
chip on the
Camp Ward.
shoulder for sure. Now
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
last rapid fire question: what's the hardest college hit you ever took?
Oh, I don't know about. Oh, I don't know if I have like
Was it so many or so few?
yeah. So it has nothing to do with the O line. If anybody sees this, any of my O linemen, but no, I think it's just overall just the hits from scrambling or throwing the ball and then getting hit after and stuff like that. Just accumulation. But I don't have one in mind. But I just know whatever it is, quarterback's a whole different breed when it comes to like game day soreness after the fact. It's something about staying in the pocket, getting hit when you're not ready for it.
Well, you usually also don't necessarily see it coming most of the time, right? I think that's the thing. Sometimes you do, and you're going to get hit, but you still got to stick in there and throw the ball, right? Yeah. At least you see it coming, which doesn't mean it hurts less, but the ones that you don't see, they definitely hurt for sure. I hear you. Cool, man. Like I said, really appreciate your time. Shout out to you. Shout out to the Panthers. Good luck for the second half of the season. I think you're going to rock the second half, right? You definitely turn some heads, and I think you will continue to do so. So appreciate your time, and then hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.